Welcome back to another episode of Thoughtful Leaders, an initiative under Thoughts on Education by College Dunia. So today we have Mr. Abhay Gupta. He's the founder and CEO of Luxury Connect, advisor and mentor to luxury brands, professor of luxury management, speaker, author, mentor, certified Marshall Goldsmith coach. Abhay Gupta has a multitude of expertise. In this capacity, he pursues a pelot- plethora of activities, including writing, advisory, public speaking, thought leadership, and philanthropy. He is a thought leader, brand leader, luxury retail expert, and consumer champion. Over the 2 decades experience of working in luxury and retail companies, he has been credited to have continually delivered sustainable revenue growth in luxury retail, apparel manufacturing, and brand launch initiative, among other industry changing functions. A Marshall Goldsmith stakeholder centered certified coach, he is also the president of Center for Education Growth and Research, Delhi NCR chapter, and an advisor to promising Indians. Behind the ramp and Moat Street fashion, Abhay has helped brands like Versace, KB Plus T, now Givo India, and Stencil Apparel set up business in India and scale new heights. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Kunal.
So we'll start off with the first question, sir. So you have held key positions at education institutes throughout your professional career, right? So what are the key factors that keep you connected with the education sector specifically?
So first, I'll have to correct you. I have not held key positions in the education sector. I have held key positions in the luxury and fashion retail sector. And education is a business which is passion driven for me. Okay. And it is a part of extension of our consulting and advisory services.
Okay.
We believe that many people have the capability of giving you advice in terms of how to run or manage or create your business, but not many people are able to implement that advice properly. So our focus is to create a value chain where not only there is advice, but there is also people to implement that advice. Mm-hmm. And that is what our business school focuses on in terms of preparing talent, which can execute the strategy so well after implemented by me in my professional journey.
Okay. So going ahead, what are the different programs unique to Luxury Connect business, and what has been the response?
So we are an 8-year-old organization, and as the name suggests, Luxury Connect Business School, we focus only on programs which are revolving around the luxury business. We are not a MBA school also trying to teach luxury. We are not a fashion school also trying to teach luxury. The core message is that all our programs revolve around luxury as the key component. So we do programs ranging from full track programs, short track programs, mid-track programs, and we have programs for people who are already part of the luxury business. We have programs for people who are part of the retail business wanting to switch into the luxury business, and we have programs for students who want to make a career into the luxury business. Okay. We have also innovated, and we have online programs, and we have live streaming programs. We have now created a hybrid module, a blended learning module as well, looking at the current scenario. So that's the kind of width that we are offering for luxury enthusiasts.
Okay. So what are the programs or extracurricular activities maybe that you provide to enhance the skills of the students or expose them to the real world challenges?
Okay, so ours is quite a unique program concept where actually we do not hire, I would say, almost anyone from the academic business. Mm-hmm. All the lectures in our program are delivered by practicing industry professionals. Mm-hmm. So it's not a question of someone who's retired and who's out of touch with the industry. It is someone who's like you, who's actually partaking in the industry as we speak, and he comes and delivers lectures in a normal manner, in a day-to-day manner. So this is method number one through which our student is always connected to the luxury business. Secondly, we do have a very large, longish program where the students join. So the induction is fairly large, where they have the opportunity to have a first ever visit to various sectors of the luxury industry, where the student is made to actually experience sectors which he may even not have imagined exist in the luxury business. Because normally a normal student does not think beyond fashion when it comes to luxury, and that is what we want to correct. That we go way beyond fashion, and there are enough fashion schools in the country, but there are no luxury schools in the country. So our students go through maybe a hospitality, go through grooming, go through fashion, go through automobile, go through real estate. They go through various sectors to get a exposure in terms of the plethora of activities that they could be sort of engaged with or involved with, depending on their area of interest. So that's their initiation into the luxury industry, followed by regular industry connect sessions, engagement with industry experts, which are over and above the faculty which are coming and delivering. In addition, they also carry out projects during the course of every term, which are very, very industry oriented. Those projects are supported by field visits, and then during the field visits, depending on the area of their choice, they would actually go and speak and visit and experience those particular sectors that may be of interest to them. During the final term, they are also made to undertake a 15 days live project, where we encourage the industry to actually pass on some kind of a live example or a live problem area which they want the students to give an academic direction to the product. And in that, the students are able to operate from a strategy to a right to operations, right to a customer service, right to a CRM program kind of a project as given by the industry. And finally, last but not the least, is our program is supported by a 6 months industry internship. So by the time the student finishes all these activities in close coordination with the industry mentor, they are ready, more than ready, to actually join the industry and start delivering from day one. So that is really the USP of our program. And I would say that in the past 5 years that we have had full-time students join the industry, and a lot of executives join the industry, that they have reached areas and designations of pinnacle within the luxury sector.
Okay. So, picking up your last point related to the internships, so luxury is altogether a different market to understand and to play within. So, how are the placement statistics in Luxury Connect Business School right now, and how actually you plan to make them industry ready and provide them with good placements as well? Or maybe how do you help them to pursue their businesses in luxury segment further?
So, I mean, in our past 5 odd years that we have put full-time students in the business, our track record has been 100%. So we have been able to place our students to the effect that actually our students have a choice when they are finishing the program. So 99.9% of the students are able to convert their internships into placement. And let me tell you, these internships are generally paid. So if it's a paid internship converted into a placement, that itself is a positive step for the student, because in the 6 months of internship, he's already made his comfort within relations, within environment, with the product, with the customer, etc., and he's able to accelerate his process thereafter. So we do not treat placements differently than internships. So we tell our students that when you are getting selected for an internship, it is really up to you to use your performance and the knowledge that you learned in the college to ensure that converts into a placement. So far our track has been, at an average, every student has 3 to 4 opportunities to choose from before he steps in even into an internship direction.
Okay, very great, sir. So with businesses going global, how is Luxury Connect Business School gearing up to bridge the theory and the practical to make it relevant to the futuristic management practices?
So our program is highly dynamic, and I myself, being from the industry, and then as you read out in my introduction, that since I mentor a lot of luxury and premium brands, it makes it very, very important for me to be continuously aware of the latest best practices adopted by luxury brands all over the world. So those practices are then passed on to our students on a regular basis by way of updating of the curriculum. In fact, as a college, we have a research team whose role is is to continuously change and upgrade the curriculum on a daily basis depending on the dynamism of the industry. So what are the current practices being adopted by luxury brands post-COVID? Those are something we are aware of, because we, as an organization, as Luxury Connect, we were the first ones to conduct a research on coronavirus and impact on Indian luxury. So the first ever webinar, which is now, webinars are now becoming common, but as early as 2nd or 3rd of April, we conducted the first webinar on this particular topic by inviting some of the top industry leaders. We had a publication like Forbes carry the summary of our research. So through extensive market linked understanding, we upgrade the curriculum on a daily basis. We have debates, and I myself conduct a lot of master classes with my students, which is got not around any theoretical subject, but around anything of interest which they may have read or come across, and then they want to take my opinion in terms of how this can be. So you see a lot of informal manner through which we ensure that the student remains up to date with the VUCA environment and what is happening in the luxury world, besides the theory, which is so very important that no matter whatever happen in the world, 2 plus 2 will always remain 4. So that theory is extremely important, and that goes through a structured curriculum, but a lot of extracurricular activities in terms of detailed learning of case studies and what is happening to a brand, why is it closing down, why, for example, as you speak, why Macy's is closing down, what is happening, why fashion shows are going online, and how retail tech is becoming an important part. So mind you, this is not part of a structured curriculum, but this is a part of a extensive debate that we keep organizing with the students to encouraging them to research online and then come and debate with us on a panel.
Okay. So what is the roadmap you have in your mind for next 5 years for Luxury Connect?
So we are working on several fronts. Of course, the coronavirus has come as a bit of a speed breaker, if I might say, and it has upset the plans of several education institutions. So as an education institution, we have done the following. Number one, as soon as the lockdown was announced, our students were obviously we were fortunate that all of them had packed themselves and gone home. They were in the middle of their final exam, not the middle, at the end of their final exams for term 2. So there was no delay. Within a gap of 3-4 days, we were able to select, choose, and engage with the best proctoring software available. So using artificial intelligence for monitoring the examination, we conducted the balance 1 or 2 exams which are remaining. So we ensured that there was no gap in the students' education, and then the next term 3 also started as per calendar originally planned with them, and the students went on to receive live classes from all the faculty from the comforts of their home. Likewise, their midterm exams were held online, and so everything is going as per schedule, and they will finish the program as planned by end of July or early August. And already talks for their placements have started happening with the various industries. Some of them have started receiving online interviews, and so the process has already begun from our placement division. Looking at the next intake and the challenge in terms of people not wanting to move to Delhi NCR, or people not wanting to move outside the comfort of their homes, which is currently, let's say, the fear psycho which has been built up by the coronavirus. And like any other parent, perhaps I would also think that I might as well delay the education of my child rather than sending him outside, within my visibility or within my reach. So we have designed a blended program, and it has been announced about 10 days, about a week back, via webinar and through press releases, etc. And we have already started receiving a overwhelming response to the blended learning concept we have created. So in the next intake, students will have the option. We already have confirmed admissions for offline on-campus learning, where certain set of students who are from the Delhi NCR region, they are more than willing to come and start the classes on the offline. And we have started receiving now admissions for the online mode, which is just about 10 days old. And I think we have got already a couple of seats sold on the online mode, the blended learning. So in the blended learning, because as you rightly said, it's a very experiential program, we have formed something where every 3 months, or the term of at the end of every 3 months term, the students will visit to campus for a 15 to 20 day period, where they will have the opportunity to first have physically come in contact with the digital tutors that they have met during live streaming. They have the chance to meet their peers who are in the offline mode, to be able to participate in group projects, in cultural activities, clear their doubts, and understand everything in a live classroom environment. Although I must say that our intent is to live stream classes being delivered in the physical classroom also to our offline students, so they get the feel of the entire classroom. And we are working on technology towards ensuring that it's a two-way streaming technology through high powered internet connection. So that's what we are trying to work. And the student, when he comes here, will not only avail the facilities of campus experience, but it will also visit the showrooms, the field trips, and the other industry connect sessions on an offline mode, and also appear for physical examinations. So the fact of the matter remains that while they are prepared futuristically, they are not in complete isolation from the past. So I believe that certain amount of testing or aptitude development can only be done in an offline mode, which could be linked to their personality development, their stage presence, their general fear of addressing many people together at the same time. So while a lot of people have fear of talking in front of the camera, a lot of people have become comfortable to talk in front of the camera, but are nervous when they come in contact with a human being. So our intent of a blended learning is that they have the best of both the worlds, and they are able to sort of experience everything as though they are on campus. So that's where we are. The beauty of our innovation is that the student has an option to switch between the mode anytime during the course. Okay. And we are ensuring that by seeing that there is no gap between the subject or the lecture delivered to the offline student and the online student. Mm-hmm. So if our experiment with live streaming the classroom environment to the offline student does not sort of succeed due to any reason, technical reason, then we have a schedule in place where if a lecture 1 is delivered to an offline student this afternoon, then maximum within next 24 hours, the same lecture, exactly the same material will be delivered to the online student within a gap of 24 hours. So at any point in time, when any student wants to switch the mode from offline to online and online to offline, he will just have to pay the difference in the fees, and he will not feel any gap in the learning.
Okay.
That is what our intent is.
So do you believe, I was hearing to your answer very carefully, so do you believe that this COVID-19 has helped education getting digitalized very soon? The digitalization might have come into education maybe 5 to 7 years down the line, but it has bought it at a very early stage now.
So I would say that as an organization, we had created 100% video-based lectures, which I have delivered myself as online modules, which is totally human intervention free. So more like a Coursera. You go online, you read the details of the program, you like it, you pay up online, you attend video classes on your own on a pre-scheduled kind of an environment. You give the test online and you receive a certificate online. So we had already created this programs about 3 to 4 years back. Were we able to sell it? No, it was barely moving. But during and after the lockdown, we have seen a tremendous jump in that format or that mode that we had created. I would say that while online education was being experimented, even the government had created MOOCs and created Swayam, how many people were buying that remains to be a question mark. So I would say that the lockdown has only accelerated the process of acceptance. So while a lot of old school of thought traditional organizations were not keen or were debating whether technology can be used as a main aid for a classroom experience, they have been compelled to adopt that. And hence the process of acceleration of acceptance by the students, by the parents, by the faculty, I would say generally the different stakeholders in the education ecosystem, technology has now become a very easily adoptable, and it is being now questioned: do we really need the amount of infrastructure that is being invested in? And I would say that more and more education institutions, which are turned into real estate as a main draw of attraction rather than the faculty and the course, are the ones which are now wondering whether we really need that. So I think technology can be a very good balance provider in terms of value, and that is what we should probably look at.
Okay. So, when heading an educational institute, it is very important to have a dynamic approach towards both students and faculty development. How do you tend to achieve that in Luxury Connect Business School?
So as I said, first thing, since we employ, not employ is not the right word. We engage most people from within the industry to come and deliver the lecture. So ours is not really a typical academic institution. Ours is more of a practically driven industry-led organization where every industry leader who's associated with us is instrumental in bringing certain best practices or giving us certain suggestions as they might come across, and we are not completely dependent on our own research. So I believe that faculty development is a very, very important aspect of any organizational institution. But the fact remains that if the institution is only employing or engaging people from the industry, then faculty development is in a way redundant, because these are best practices from the industry, and we by ensuring that the research towards what content is to be delivered is more important, and that is where the development of a research team is continuously and our students is carried out by ensuring they attend all industry programs, by ensuring that they have access to the best content worldwide for our business, and that is how we ensure that the let's say the development of our student takes place by the development of our research material.
Okay. So, alumni is a very important part of any, B school these days. So, how do you tend to involve the alumni till date within the college, or, by any means?
So our alumni is definitely our pride, and they have since they have started reaching positions of recognition within the industry. And we being a very niche school and a very personalized kind of a school where we don't have 5,000 students per se, we just have, so to date, maybe about 2,500 executives and students have passed our institute. So almost every individual is on a one-to-one basis with not only with me, but a lot of faculty, because they meet the same faculty within the industry as well. So it's relatively much more easier for us to engage and encourage alumni to come and talk to our students, address our students, engage them for live projects or even for placements. So there, I believe that we have a lot of dynamic association with the industry at the top management level by virtue of my network, and as well as the middle to lower level management by the virtue of our alumni network. So we are definitely in a position where we are able to encash both the levels in a effective manner.
So coming to the next question, so it's a very interesting question because people or the mentors like you we have do not easily talk about those people we have in our schools, right? So there's there are few underachievers in the class always, right? So but they have a skill set in themselves. So what are the strategies that you implement in your B schools for betterment of those underachievers in the class?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, Konark. So as I said, since our cohort is very, very small, and the cohort does not run into our student-teacher ratio, so far has never exceeded 1:15. And post the lockdown, it will come down to even lower. So we will not have more than 8 students to a teacher at any point in time in the offline mode. So 8 to 10 is where we are putting the cutoff by the simple norms of social distancing as well. So when the cohort is so very small, almost every student and the teacher employ a one-to-one relationship. Now, you might tell me that when the faculty is coming from the industry, then they have a relationship during the duration of that particular subject. But that's a very valuable relationship, and we are in a position to gauge feedback from not one faculty. So, in a normal institute, it might happen that the faculty is employed by the institute. So the student sees the same faculty throughout the journey of his entire duration of the program. Whereas in our case, every 3 months, every subject is delivered by a different set of industry experts. So we are able to get the information or the relationship of a student with multiple industry experts, and we get multiple opinions about that particular student, who are able to sort of impress upon different industry experts basis their skills. So if we get somebody who is extremely good in logistics by virtue of his background, then there is a program in luxury logistics. So obviously that faculty is able to immediately spot him or her as a brighter student in his particular subject, already telling us a direction in which he has to he can further his career. So this way, what is happening is, right in the early stages of a student's journey with us, we are able to identify the weak points and the strong points, and hence his one-to-one counseling and one-to-one monitoring is taken on to a place that in a manner that within the first 3 months itself, his confidence level is changed by 400-500%. And it's a great pleasure for us to see when students from really small towns and small cities are able to come to a place like Delhi, and then also get ready to work in the luxury industry. So we've created a specific program called LMLQ, which is Luxury Manager-like Qualities. Mm-hmm. So it is a part of that journey that their manager-like qualities are weaknesses are spotted right from day one, and those particular weak areas are worked upon by the respective faculties on a one-to-one basis. My intervention as an individual is extremely high when it comes to this particular program or this particular, I would say, counseling of our students. So we have rarely, or I would say almost zero chances of a student leaving the program midway through because he is academically weak, or he feels that I'm not confident enough to continue the program. Mind you, our program can get a bit intimidating because of the overall environment in which he has to operate, and so our intention is to ensure that every Konark who passes out of our college is in a position to make a transaction, high value transaction, with extremely high value customer with whom he has to engage with once he joins the industry. So building substance with style is what the focus is of LCBS.
Okay, so it's a very great initiative. No college or no university focuses on students' skill sets these days. They are just after कि जो मिल रहा है वो पढ़ाते रहो और खत्म करते रहो. So it's a very great thing that you're doing that at LCB. Okay, so moving ahead, we have 9 minutes left with our clock. So what are the strategies? So with the competition so high, how do you guide your students to survive in such a competitive scenario?
So you see, the day they join their college, they are made to realize that this is not a college, but this is a professional environment that they have entered. So all that they are likely to face when they join the industry, they are made to realize and made to adopt that into their day-to-day lifestyle from day one. For example, you are working for an organization, and pre-COVID days, there was a certain amount of attendance which you had to provide in order to be eligible to get your month's salary. You had to have a process of applying for leave if it was required. There had to be a process that if you appear, let's say 25 minutes late in the morning for so many days in a month, so much reduction in salary is going to happen. So every corporate have different standards of disciplining their teams to ensure that their productivity remains at the highest efficiency. Mm-hmm. So in order to not a student feel out of place when he joins the industry during internship, we implement similar disciplinary guidelines for every student. Mm-hmm. So not only we say that your attendance is important, but we say that If you are appearing 10 minutes late in the class, then it is up to the faculty to take you in. If you are 15 minutes late for 4 consecutively days, you will be marked absent, etc., etc. So they realize the value of respecting other people's time. So I need to keep reminding you that we are preparing students to work in an environment where the time of the opposite party is more expensive than the money that he is putting on the table. So you essentially are dealing with a cash-rich, time-poor customer. So the more and more importance you give to time, for example, you told me the interview will start at 4 o'clock. You did not have to remind me. I was there at 5 minutes before 4.
Right.
So if I am able to bring that, I mean, let us be honest, you might have had to chase many people to come for the interview. A lot of leaders. So when we bring those values into our students to ensure that if the class is starting at 9 o'clock, please be there at 3 minutes before 9, because the senior industry professional who's going to come in at 9 o'clock will come in sharp at 9 and will leave sharp at 10:30 or 11, whatever the class is getting over. So if you want to draw value from him, you have to learn to respect his time. So by doing those small industry-oriented practices in terms of changing their habits and making it very industry-oriented, we are ensuring that not only substance in terms of understanding the industry, but also the style in which the industry functions, these students are able to make better professionals. Right. So that is what really our focus is.
Okay. So, what according to you is the meaning of failure, and how would you motivate a student to overcome that feeling?
So I believe failure is an opportunity to start all over again. So while like an academic institution, if somebody is getting below pass marks, and I must tell you that our benchmarks for passing are extremely high. So if you're securing less than 60% in a particular subject, you have failed in that subject. Whereas most colleges that I have come across, the pass marks are either ranging from 35 to 45% and not beyond that. For us, it is 60%. So right from day one, the student realizes that I'm getting into a high pressure area where I have to perform. So the characteristic of being able to take pressure is being built up on them, where the pressure industry will change to targets from marks. So if the targets can be compensated by marks, then that is where the students are getting on into that kind of a mindset change. So the student realizes that if I fail, then I have another opportunity in terms of setting for a compartmental exam. If I don't deliver my assignment on time, I will be given one more chance. But it is nowhere we are suggesting him that you are a failure and you cannot turn around. So through proper counseling and through proper handholding, the weakest of the weak, and hence is the reason that our exit of any student once he joins the program is extremely low. Is extremely low.
Okay. So the last question is, what message you would like to give for the student pursuing their higher studies right now and under the influence of their peers in the society they are right now due to COVID situation?
So first thing I would like to tell any student, whether mine or any other student who's at this point in time in a dilemma because of the environment created by Corona. So I would say that, guys, all of you shape up and think positive. So Corona is nothing but more of a mental state, and Corona attacks people who are mentally weak in terms of, it's more people getting infected by the fear of not wanting to get infected rather than the disease. And if you look at the recovery rate in India, it is extremely high. So there is no reason for you to get worried. Is the lifestyle going to change? Yes, the lifestyle is going to change. Is it going to become difficult for you? Yes, it is going to become difficult, but there is going to be a new normal. So you guys are at the cusp of a very major change, and you're going to see the shift happening in India when India is beginning to start its upward journey once again. So you guys are going to be extremely instrumental in being part or witnessing that particular change in a very highly dynamic manner. So Is it an opportunity? Definitely it's an opportunity. Is it a threat? Definitely it is not a threat. It is a mental threat because we are moving away from the normal. Subjects are going to change, careers are going to change, new formats of employment are going to arrive. So one needs to be constantly on the lookout for improving their skills, not only through formal education, but through a lot of informal education, a lot of self learning. So the more and more you develop the aptitude for self learning in an informal environment is what is going to make you successful and is going to make you not only strive but make you thrive in the coming future. So that is what my piece of advice to any youngster today would be, that it is not the end of the world, it is the beginning of a new world. And you guys are going to be witnessing the new change in India as a country. So all the best and stay focused is what I will say.
Thank you so much, sir. That was such an insightful and a motivational interview. So, everyone, this was Mr. Abhay Gupta, founder and CEO, Luxury Connect Business School. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me, Konark.